Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Dynamite Shirt Printing, Kyle Metz. What a guy. He came on as a sponsor, and my primary use for him is drop shipping. So what that means is that I don't got to buy inventory. I don't got to buy a bunch of t-shirts. Kyle handles it all. So it's ordered online, and then he prints it and ships it, and he handles everything. And it works out for both parties. If you're looking for something else like general screen printing, he handles that. He does embroidery. He does direct to garment, DTG, which means you can do one-offs, and there's no minimum on that. Kyle's been able to help a lot of businesses that I've been funneling to him just to get going and to, start up. I mean, you don't want to order 100 t-shirts when you're just coming out the gate. And Kyle can handle small orders, large orders. He can handle everything you need. That's Dynamite Shirt Printing, and it's dynamiteshirtprinting.com. Go check it out. My favorite skate shop in the Valley, 5andDimeEaston.com. You can shop online or in store. Their address is 140 Northampton Street, Easton, PA. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sundays, 11 to 5. They carry clothing, shoes, boards, accessories, and more. You can get complete decks down there. They got grip. They got some local clothing down there as well. I know a couple guys that came on the show that they're now selling stuff in store, and they're exclusive to Fucked. They are doing so much for the independent skate community. They're doing so much for the DIY. They're doing a lot in the area with skateboarding, and I couldn't be prouder to have them as a sponsor. Their story is incredible, from starting it when they were 18 and then coming back later in life to opening up what the store is that they wanted. And the two guys down there are just incredible. I can't say enough good things about them. I love that they're a sponsor, and they really help out in the community. And if you skate or want to support them, please go check them out locally. It is 140 Northampton Street, Easton, PA. Online, it is 5anddimeeaston.com. Please go check them out. All Valley Rooter, Jared LaBarba, friend of the show, childhood friend, Never Again Studios official plumber. 24-hour emergency services. 610-762-1656. That's 610-762-1656. They charge by the job, not by the hour, and they are 100% fully insured. They have free estimates. They also do installation and repair. They have a list of things. I can't go over them all on here, but you can find them at allvalleyrouter.net. All of Jared's services are on there. It's a beautiful website. You can contact him through that website. You can find out how to do, emergency services. Where should I call? Who should I contact? You can get all that there at allvalleyrouter.net. Free estimates, fully insured. Jared LaBarba. Check him out.
I'm Mark. They call me Rip. Rips Auto Detail. You can find me on Instagram, Rips Auto Detail, RIPS Auto Detail. You can hit me, Mark, at ripsautodetail.com for my email. So if you want to call me, 484-553-1366. Social medias, really, you'll see most of what I'm doing. But for the business, give me a follow on Rips Auto Detail. Watch what I'm doing. If you're interested in paint corrections, ceramic coatings, anything in the Lehigh Valley as far as highline aesthetics for your vehicle. We're not talking cheap stuff here, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It just is what it is. I've been working at this for a long time, and if you want someone to take a prideful approach to the aesthetic care of your vehicle and really turn you out a product that you haven't experienced with someone else before, give me a shot, man. It's a one-man approach, and everybody gets the same level of devotion. Obviously some jobs cost more and some less, and you've got to draw a fine line there. It's easy to really obsess over things and go too far sometimes and over-deliver. It's never really a bad thing, though. So give me a shot.
Do you guys need anything before we start? Cool. Never Again Radio. I have no clue what episode this is. Welcome to Never Again Radio. How are you? Good. Sorry for the jump start. I want to get you guys out of here on time. Lovely morning. I don't know how we cross paths. Usually sometimes people reach out, I reach out, and then we started kind of talking, and I'm really excited to kind of get into the story of how you guys did this, because we had a lot of parallels, and I love talking to people, and you're like, I'm going through that too. Yeah. So I just want to give you guys a second to kind of introduce yourselves and kind of get into what your business is, and then we'll just kind of break everything down.
Okay. Well, I'm Babs.
And I'm Mick.
Or punch out games.
We practice that sometimes.
I don't know. We met in 2020, just like
At the Mahoning Drive-In.
At the Mahoning Drive-In. Just,
Oh, that's right. That crossed over too. The Mahoning.
yeah. Just literally after like the restrictions were lifted, and I'd gone to Zombie Fest with a friend, and my friend was like, "I'm buying a ticket for another friend," and I didn't know who it was. Turns out it was
This
him.
guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we started this.
We were hanging out at the Mahoning for a bit, and then eventually you were leaving Somerville and moved to Easton.
Yeah.
Right across the street from me. And then
Literally.
we started hanging out even more.
That's
And
cool.
then,
Yeah.
After the pandemic, I ended up quitting my job. And Barb is like great at helping people find jobs.
Yeah.
And was helping me look. And then we were playing Mario Party one night, and we're just like, let's play board games. Let's make a board game cafe.
Yeah.
It was one of those sort of drunken light bulb eureka moments.
Yeah. And
I feel like those are the best ways for things to be created, because I look back at like how everything started with what I'm doing with apparel or even the food, and it was literally a conversation. Like when we started getting into the bagel stuff and all that, we were literally just sitting. I didn't know what I was doing in business yet, so I would drive over to my friend Gina's just because I wanted to be around someone, because it was the first time I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
So I would be like texting my friends and be like, what am I supposed to be doing today? And they're like, relax.
Yeah, I had no idea what to do with my time, and Barb
Yeah.
would like come over and help me fill out my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
I was searching for jobs and just being like, I don't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah, it's a weird time, because you're supposed to be working, and then you feel bad if you're not working, but then you can't be working in order to like find out what you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a conversation at the counter, and she's just like, we should do something, and she's like, there's no food in town. I mean, the conversation we had before the show started, it's like that's how that grew. She's like, well, what should we do? And then I think we started getting into baking, and then started making bagels, and then we just went down a rabbit hole, and then now it turns into this. But that's my favorite part, is because like you hear stuff where people are like, it started in a garage, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay. But then if you actually break down where ideas come from with businesses, a lot of the times it's the spur of the moment. You're hanging out, this is fun, we should do this.
Yeah.
So you got what board game were you guys playing?
Oh, it was Mario Party.
Mario
actually.
Party.
Mario
So it wasn't
Party?
even a
Oh,
board
so
game.
yeah.
But I had recently gone to New York to support one of my friend's film festivals, and before I went to the screening, I stopped at our other friend's favorite board games cafe called the Uncommons in New York, and it was so cool. It just like you walked in there, and it was like everybody was playing. There was a wait, and it was right by NYU. And I just was taking all these photos. I was sending it to Mick, and then we were playing one day, and we both just knew we wanted to make something of our own. I've always had that dream of doing something. I was going to start a business in Highland Park, but it was outrun by a community in Highland Park that just wasn't here for it.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do something. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but
And you came to Easton and realized
And then I
how
came-
welcoming that community is.
yeah, this has been so easy to like not only work with Mick, but also work with the community in town who come out and support us. We just did the 4th Street block party, and we were the hit. Everybody was coming and playing games, and like we had these like giant games as well, and that to me felt more rewarding than what I currently do for a living.
Yeah. What's crazy is it just happened that like my last probably 8 or 9 guests have been from Easton, and this conversation comes up all the time. And what I've been noticing is people are now coming from the city to go to Easton and not from the valley. It's really
city,
weird
yeah.
what's actually happening, because of like where I think everything's going to be in 5 years with Allentown, Easton, even Nazareth at this point. Like, it's crazy that like, because I was talking to Modern Crumb, and she was coming from Philly to the valley, and I'm like, yo, and she even said it, she's like, it's so backwards. And then I had a friend come in from LA, and it was the same thing where they were like, yo, we would move back here. Like this, like Easton, there's something special going on in
Yeah.
Easton, and every business I have on, and it's just a common thread of the support that comes with Easton, and how much they take care of their business, and how much they give a shit about their business, and how much they push their own business. And it's very rare
I feel
to
like
see that anywhere.
Easton compared to other cities.
Can you slide the mic over just a little bit?
Yeah, I should
or
be
just
on
like
this
talk.
side
Yeah,
so
either
I
way,
can
you
talk
can
to
move
you.
that. You're fine.
Easton compared to other cities, it's just like most cities they have these businesses to attract people to their town, and they become kind of touristy.
Yes.
Where Easton, I feel like all the businesses there are for the people in Easton.
100%.
It's more about community rather than trying to bring people, and that happens to be working and bringing people from the city to hang out in Easton.
Yeah.
And then like the farmers market and everything that came with that, and the amount of people that actually show up to that, it's been weird and fun watching it grow. And then the more people I bring on from Easton, it's like, no, it's not just like you're saying, oh, there's something special about Easton. Like there really is.
There really
and
is.
I think it's people working together and like making their businesses work because they're supporting each other in their own place.
I do enjoy, the fact that, my mom started a business in Easton way before I did.
What was she doing?
She's doing acupuncture.
Great acupuncture.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's called Crossing House Acupuncture. But in the middle of like looking where she was gonna like live, like where the business was gonna live, she looked everywhere. She looked at Washington Crossing, New Hope, all of these places. But the one thing that wasn't in common was like no one really believed in her business. And she moved. I told her try Easton because I was hanging out with this kid and I was hanging out with other friends, and I was like, just try Easton. It's cool. And like I was like almost there every weekend, especially after I met my best friend, and I was like with her every weekend. And I was like, it's a great town. She got in contact with the city of Easton. Kim Kometz led her to a location now that my mom has she's joined the Chamber of Commerce. Everyone has supported her business.
Yeah.
And it was just really nice to see that transition from, not saying that the other towns are bad, but they came in and were like believed in her idea.
Yeah, I feel like the right people are in the right place, and when you have that going on and people are coming to like start a business or start an idea or start a future for themselves, if you don't have the right people in place to work with you, it could be very misleading, or you could be getting into a situation where like it isn't the correct landlord. Like there's a lot of pitfalls with opening something.
Yeah.
And I feel like Easton, from what I've heard from the people that opened, is like they take care of the people.
Yeah. And it's nice because we're bringing board games to the table. That's something that it's a good way of team building. It's a good way of connecting with your friends. And I didn't play as much as Mick.
Well, that's what my follow-up was going to be, is what did you guys get into when you were younger that you would come from the board game era?
I've always loved board games. I was really into Magic the Gathering as a kid, and I used to go to this one store in Somerville where Barb's from called The Only Game in Town, and they would do.
It's a solid name.
Yeah, they shortened it to
cool
Target.
spot.
Yeah.
But they would do Friday night magics and there'd be magic tournaments, and I would go with my buddies and like meet new people, and it's just like I realized that having that as a kid and not going around doing like hoodlum stuff or like dangerous stuff, it was a nice outlet for me to meet new people, play a game, and hang out. And so I feel like Easton needs something like that, because most of the stuff to do in Easton is bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
Barbershops.
Yeah.
There's so many barbershops.
We got you beat with salons here, though, I'll tell you that.
I will not be opening a salon anytime soon. But
Play a board game, get your hair cut.
Yeah, exactly. Or that would be funny. And then me, I just within my family, we really didn't play as much. I really liked them because I would go to these sleepovers with my friends, and we would play
Mall Madness.
Mick's favorite game, Monopoly. Hates it. But we would play all of these games, and it would only happen when I would go to sleepovers. And so I tried to introduce it to my family. They weren't really into it. My parents call it boring games. But then I went to college, started playing more. And then my adulthood has spent from like the ages of like 20 to 27. I spent working nonstop.
Yeah, you're a hustler.
Yeah. And then I moved here, and then I realized I could take a break and like do something fun. And then I met all of these kids, and we started playing, and I was like, I really love this concept because it's fun. I hate losing.
There's just like broken pieces on all the games.
Yeah, no, they're all constantly cheating. They're out to get me.
We're all out to get you.
Yeah, but it's fun, and it's really rewarding to do something really good for the community. I started a film festival in Somerville, and even just with that, like the audience coming and like getting tickets, and they're all wearing their badges, and it's all fun and cute. I wanted to bring that energy into Easton.
Yeah, I grew up an 80s kid, so board games were huge when I was coming up. And, we would have this babysitter, Mary Heyer. She hit me with a coal shovel once. I deserved it. But she was the first one that kind of introduced, and my grandmother, when we started introducing games, because like they would have to babysit. I have 3 brothers. When we wouldn't be running around outside or would be bad weather, we would be playing games. So I remember like way back when it was like Sorry, like Trouble, like all Don't Break the Ice. There was another one, Mousetrap. Mousetrap was a big one. We'd always lose the pieces. Yeah. And then I even remember like, Mary Heyer would go out of her way to like find better board games. So there was one where it was like a basketball game and like you could shoot it, but like it always kept our attention. So like, and then when I got older, of course, it's like for a little bit, I played Dungeons and Dragons with my brother, and then we had Heroes Quest, and I always like liked the like pieces and moving it around. So like I grew up in that era where like that's what you did. Like
the
there
80s
wasn't
might have been like the golden age.
Yeah, because it's like we had Nintendo, but at the same time it was something different with like I remember Catapult. Like dude, they used to have like legit like movie trailer commercials for like board games, and they'd be like showing like kids like like fighting with knights. And we'd be like, we need to play this. And you just get it, and it's a board. And I'm like, oh, we have to use our imagination. But like, I feel like that's something that's lost with something. I see the kids growing up, and I would be doing the same thing they would, where you're just plugged in and you could be doing all this stuff the way it is. But growing up in that, there's something that's appealing to me with like playing the board games and everything.
Well, I think board games has also hit like a resurgence lately. Like you said, the little action figures, like minifigs, is like a whole industry of its own. People 3D print their own. And
that's cool too.
I have buddies who like their hobby is to paint them.
Yes.
That's really cool. People are attracted to like little
yeah. There is something about and I like that you can get back into stuff with the 3D printing and like make pieces to games and stuff like that. But
We're
it's
living
like
in the future.
Yeah, but it's cool. Like I remember, Monopoly was always a thing, but we'd always get halfway through it, and I'm like, I'm out.
That's the worst part about Monopoly is that you find out who's winning like 2 hours before it's over, and then no one wants to play anymore.
Or you see the person cheating, and I'm like, dude, what did we do for the last hour? You've been cheating. Too many times as it went through that. My dad used to work at a print press in New Jersey, and they actually printed, because then they started doing like the mocks of Monopoly, where they were like the better Easton area was an actual board game, and then we had it for forever, and it was like stuff my dad was like, don't wreck that, and then like we always
Monopoly
wrecked it. There was 4 of us.
It's for collectors now because there's so many different versions. You get your own town Monopoly. You get
because the pieces were Crayola crayons, because it was like
that's cute.
because Crayola was there, and then it was all the businesses in Easton. I think the game did well, but like I wish we wouldn't have wrecked everything. But whatever. We just wrestled and fought each other.
We want to make a big Easton Where's Waldo.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But like instead of Waldo, it's all the little characters of Easton.
Yeah.
It's called. It's actually based off a game that we just bought when we went to PAX. It was called
Micro Macro Crime City.
Yeah, Micro Crime City, and it's literally a Where's Waldo situation, but with like different crimes that you gotta solve, and it's really cute, but maybe like not crime related for Easton. Like maybe find like DJ Brad Scott or like something fun like
delicious
that.
Foods.
Oh yeah, find the foods. Like where can you get the best coffee?
Yeah. Where did you guys kind of like, we briefly talked about how you guys met, but like, where did you guys kind of start seriously turning this into a business and doing the pop-up gambits? And I know from like where I'm at with everything, and you guys are kind of at the same spot, and I always love running into people who are trying to push to go further, but like, when did you kind of like really start being like, all right, well, like, how do we figure out how to make money off of this? What's the best way for us to structure this? How can we leave our jobs to do this? Because when you get into something, the idea of it is like, hey, I want to do something I love, but then turning that into something that makes you the same money you have or enough to get by is not the easiest thing. So like, what was the plan in the beginning?
So almost right away, when we came up with the idea, we went to Philly to we did market research.
Research. I got to go to a million bagel shops.
we went to a couple board game cafes in Philly,
Yeah.
and we just asked to talk to the owner,
Yeah.
and see how he got started.
Yeah.
And he said pop-ups.
Yeah.
He said he took a loss at the start, which we're
You always
also
do.
realizing.
You always do.
But it's the best way to like sort of sell yourself, and it's a gig,
Yeah.
so whether or not people are coming or not, or people are like excited to come, people know about you, you're putting your name out there.
Yeah.
And so, and like to get by, I've been living off savings that I saved up for a while, and right now we're starting to hit that cusp of make some money.
Yeah.
It's the hard spot.
Yeah.
Pretty much all our events have been like, you got to pay us for it.
Yeah.
You got to pay us.
We're at the point now.
Yeah.
We were doing them for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to get out there. We were offering like a raffle, but we would break even on a raffle.
Yeah.
So,
And-
it was just taking up time, but
And our raffle consisted of like board games that now are like $50, $60, $70.
Yeah.
So
the first raffle we did, I raffled off a game that cost way too much.
Yeah.
And like the people who won, they don't even know how to play it. So
Yeah.
the next time we're like, let's get easier games. Like,
Yeah.
Well, it's difficult in the beginning. When we first did pop-ups, I didn't know how they'd go. And then like the first time we did it, I was like, well, this is wrong. And then it's like, so you can't really charge right out the gate, in my opinion, because it's not a developed idea. But then as you go along, because we were at a point where it's like, all right, well, do we start charging a fee to come out if we don't make the money off the food? Because there's like so many different things with pop-ups where it's like, all right, well, if you're coming out for free and then for some reason nobody comes out that night, and then now you're not making money because nobody came out, you're kind of just falling into a trap. So then it gets to a point where it's like, all right, well, where do we turn this business? And then it's like, all right, well, we should charge to come out. And then that's when you start developing it. And I feel like you start building confidence in yourself because you start actually learning what you should be doing, and then you start getting into your own ideas. And then I think that's like the best part before it turns like into stress and money and whatnot. But like the development part, like it's cool going to different spots and then turning it into like what you believe it could be.
Yeah.
It's also rewarding when those spots ask you to come back.
Yeah.
So
we got a few that,
That's
like,
fun.
Like a brewery downtown. It was also Barb's birthday, and we did one on her birthday, and like so all of our friends came out, but we also had a bunch of strangers, and they said it was like the busiest night they've ever had.
Yeah,
And now
that's awesome when
they
you
want us back all the time.
Yeah.
now.
Because then you're driving home and you're like, it works.
Yeah.
It works because it's so scary, and there's so many people that don't. There's so many, like, I used to sit around and everyone would be like, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this, we should do that. And then, like, I eventually just went in a direction and started doing something, and then it turned into all these different things. But, like, it's easy to sit around and tell people, oh, you know what you should do? But then to get in there and put the work in and spend the money and, like, driving there, and I'm always like, what if people aren't going to come? And you just start thinking the worst shit.
It's so scary. I
Yes.
mean, every time we have an event, I know now we're getting paid, so my stress is a little low now.
But you also don't want to disappoint the people that are
I
having
don't
you
want
out.
to disappoint
Yeah.
people because we're providing an experience, and when we pitch ourselves, we're like, this is what people love to do, and we bring all these people, and then when sometimes when we don't have people there, it's like really like stressful. But I think we have our great days, and we've finessed our pop-ups here since like we started in December. And then we ended up getting a business mentor who kind of has been helping us throughout.
Our boy George.
He's been helping us through everything because we do just want to open a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
That's our dream. We want to see a space with ours, with our work that was put down. I've always talked with friends being like, I want to do this, and same thing. No one ever does it.
No
one ever does it. And then I met you, and then we did it, and it's still happening. So sometimes I'm like, I wake up, I'm like, wow, I'm really like running.
It's odd too when the correct person, or like I've always wanted to do food. I've talked about doing food with a bunch of my friends, and it never took place. And a couple people we've talked about it, and then the person that actually does food with me, Gina, is the last person on earth that I ever thought I would be opening a business with, because it's my best friend's wife. And then it just so happened that she was the first person that was like, hey, I'll come and do the money at the pop-up. And I was like, cool, I can really use your help. And then we just started working together, and I'm like, oh, this really works. And the next thing you know, I'm like, holy shit, I'm opening up a restaurant with Gina. I'm like, how did this happen? But like when the right person comes in and you just kind of both are on the same page, it just organically starts working. It's kind of like, it's going to like I don't know. There's just a feeling where you know it's going to be a success.
Yeah.
It feels really good. And, you know, I'm not used to working with a lot of people.
But I'm really easy to work with, huh?
He's really easy to work with. And he's also taught me to be patient because I'm a person that's like,
Yeah, same.
let's go, let's do it. And Mick will just be like, chill. And I've never had that because I've always done everything by myself.
Yeah.
So having a good business partner like him has been very essential. And, you know, it's why this business is going where it's going.
Yeah.
And why we have so much support from the city, from our friends, from strangers on the internet. We received a really nice message from this like nonprofit group in, I believe, Bethlehem, that just like randomly messaged us and was like, I love what you guys are doing. And like, I'm supporting it, and has been supporting us and like reposting our stuff on their Instagram.
That stuff's huge.
And it's really rewarding and
super
nice.
rewarding.
When it's early on and there's like doubt, and then, you know, you have your days where it's awesome and you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. Then there's definitely days where it's just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Is this correct? Should I be doing these decisions? And then every now and then you get a message like that, or I'll get a message from someone that's like, yo, like I listened to this episode, and like I forget people listen because it's just go. I interact with the guests way more than I do the audience. That didn't happen until I started doing pop-ups, which was crazy, because then I started having people that are like, I guess, fans of the show coming out and be like, dude, it's awesome, I listen to the podcast. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do a podcast. Like, but that stuff is like wind in sails, especially at times when you're just kind of dead at sea and you need the motivation, and sometimes it's not there from friends and family because they're tired of doing that. But then when you get a gust of wind from somebody you don't know, it's like you can go so far forward with that.
Yeah. Also, when we do these events, like sometimes they're a miss, but when they're a hit, it's just like, to me, it's proof of concept.
Yeah.
It's like the board game cafe can work.
Yeah.
This is what we want to
Like,
do.
especially when you get into like the fifth one and you're like, all right, 4 out of 5 were
still
awesome.
going on. Yeah.
I think the block party gave me, like, not that I didn't have hope before, but it just gave me a clearer vision of what our pop-up was, what our location would look like, because we had like all these tables out, and we had set up like giant Jenga and like this like ring toss game on 2 tables.
Were you guys doing it for Easton Out Loud at the time, or
No.
So there was a crane on 4th Street because they're building a parking garage.
Yeah, the guy who ran it actually came on the podcast.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
But
pancakes and protein shakes.
It was blocking. It was blocking the street, so a lot of the businesses on that street suffered. And so once they got rid of it, which was like the other day, they
what's the timeline on that?
Party. So it was gone, I think, last week, and then there's still like a couple like smaller cranes there, but the road was still blocked because there's a bunch of dirt and stuff there. And it literally, like, the next day was the scheduled block party, so the timing worked out wonderfully.
Yeah.
And all the businesses just sort of had their own,
like, they had the little
setup.
Yeah, like outside their business.
Yeah.
They had like little like tables, and they were
I love that
selling
they do that in
things.
Easton.
Yeah, and it was perfect because then everybody came out to support those businesses that were hurting from the crane, because it was impossible to cross to the other side. You had to go the other way around, and sometimes people don't want to do that, especially people who live like not on 4th Street or something. But it was nice to be there and to be present with everybody and you know, we had there was 2 people that were doing entertainment, us, and then there was this other woman who was like doing like circus tricks or something.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool. But you know, our concept was laid out there, and then we had like the people from the city of Easton like take photos and like do videos on their Instagram, and it was just like so nice to like just see people walking up to the tables that had giant Jenga and like sit down and play with their friends. Or like Mick taught these 2 kids and their mom how to play Hues and Cues, and you know, I was playing with kids with Suspend, and it just felt so rewarding and fun, you know. And it just gave me I just thought of just walking into our location, opening the doors, and people coming in and just being like, hey, teach me how to do this.
Well, I think human condition, people see games, they want to play. Like, if there's Jenga on a table and no one's sitting there, I'm going to go play Jenga.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool when you get the vision and you understand it, because it's like the pop-up game is its own thing, but at the same time, you know, seeing a clear path, and like that's what's probably the most rewarding thing with like starting it, trying it, taking around, and you're kind of selling the idea, and then when it starts working, it's like, hey, we could do this. But then when you like kind of picture brick and mortar, it goes somewhere special, and then it's like, oh, cool, like now I think I'm going to be a part of this community. Before we get too far into what you want to do with brick and mortar, because I do want to like go through the ideas, because I know it's going to be a cool setup. Like, what do people expect when, let's say you guys are at a venue and you come in there, and then like, what are they getting out of coming to something that you guys do?
So we do. We've built like a bit of a game library. It's not as big as we want it to be. I don't think it ever will be. But we bring our games. We bring a little booth set up. We know how to play all of the games. We're very good at introducing people to games. We set up some signage, and we just sort of like work the crowd. We walk up to people like at the in Allentown. We were at the Allentown Market, and they have a bar right next to where we were set up. And Barb was like walking up to the people in the bar, like, "Hey, you want to play a game?"
Yeah, you guys are perfect. Like, even just meeting you, like, we immediately. Well, I've been talking to you, but you guys within 30 seconds, and then when you started saying that you have to explain the games, I'm like, oh, it's a home run to have you two. You know what I mean? Like, you're very personable and you're well spoken to explain something.
Yeah, some people are intimidated by games because like Dungeons and Dragons, or there's other ones like Twilight Imperium that take a day to learn and then another day to play, and people are intimidated by that. And we want to show people that it doesn't have to be that. Like, there's beginner, intermediate, and heavy games. And if you are familiar with, say, Monopoly, I might show you a different game that is newer and, in my opinion, better, but just as easy to learn.
Yeah.
And so we're sort of introducing people into the hobby, and people who are fans of the hobby, we're giving them an opportunity to play games that they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
You know?
That's ultimately, the goal too, is like, I mean, when I was younger, we couldn't afford any of these games. So that was one of the main reasons we really didn't get into this hobby, because it was just,
I forgot how expensive board games were.
They're expensive.
Or are now still.
It's about like what you would spend on a video game, you could spend on a board game.
Yeah, but we didn't even spend money on board games. My family, my parents were teenagers when they had me, so they were working all these jobs and but we want to be able to just play with people, and be like, I know you've always wanted to try this hobby, you've always wanted to try this, so play this game with us. And I had this one kid who really wanted to play Monopoly, but I was like, oh, we don't have that. But
sorry, bro.
We have Machikoro, and that's similar, and I can teach you that game.
Yeah.
And it's easy and it's fun. So we have these we want to make it as accessible as possible for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah. And the more you keep bringing up Monopoly, I don't think that would be fun to play at a bar, out.
No.
And that's why we want to show people are like, oh, I don't like board games. I want to sit here and drink. And like, I literally have a game that is like, you flip a card and it says like, oh, last person have sex drinks, or like, you flip a card like last person eat a bagel drinks, and it's just that is the game.
Yeah.
And people see that and like, oh, I can do that right now.
Yeah.
Do you guys kind of like go through what venue you're expecting on the crowd? Do you have different versions of the games, or do you bring everything every time?
We do our highlight games. So
we try to curate to the crowd, but like I said before, our game library isn't huge. I could fit it all in my car. It basically stuffs my car, and that library can cover like pretty much everything. But mostly is me like vibing the crowd and seeing what kind of games they might be into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like is there like a time that starts and then you guys kind of introduce yourself, or like how does like the beginning of it work, or is it you just kind of set up and then wait for a crowd because you don't want to kind of like just get in people's faces and be like, play some games?
What we do is we play a game.
Yeah.
And that's the best part.
Yeah.
To play a game.
Because once they see at least two people playing a game, maybe they're gonna start getting comfortable and like, okay, and we'll be done with that game. We'll walk back and get another game. And then once people start feeling more comfortable, we approach them and like, okay, you guys are here, let us play a game. When we were at the Cellar 159, there was two people at the table, and they were like, yeah, we want to play a game. And I was like, but I have a 2-person game for you, and I brought them Deep Sea Adventure. And so we kind of just like let people warm up, because
it's fun. Even listening to this, because it's not something I've ever done, but like the appeal of it's there, where I was like, man, I forgot how fun it is to play board games. And then I was like, well, that would be cool because you're hosting the event, so if anyone's really interested in doing that, they're coming there. So you have people who are interested in wanting to do it, but there's definitely a crowd for that.
Showing up to the venues that had no idea what was going on. And then they'll see our shelf and like our little bit of signage and us playing games, like, oh, I guess that's what we do around here.
Yeah.
I used to come up to people, like I'd see people looking at our shelves, and I'd walk up and like, hey, you like board games? And I think I creeped a couple people out.
Yeah.
So during these pop-ups, I'm sort of realizing like, let them pick on their own. And
Yeah.
if they have any questions, I'll go up and ask them. But I don't want to intimidate.
No, it works the
anybody.
same way with food, where like people come up and you're like, what do you want? Or
Yeah.
in the beginning you're just kind of rushing for that sale. Where now it's like we're a little bit more relaxed, and sometimes people just want a napkin, or they just want to look at what you got, or hey, I'll be back. But like, you definitely gauge and adjust and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's kind of like, do you think is like the most popular thing now that kind of like you see works for the different clientele coming in?
So we used to have a sort of, I'm like a board game enthusiast, so I have all these like sort of deep cut games.
Yeah.
And then Barb's like, no, we should get Jenga, we should get Connect 4. And I'm
I like the yin and the yang though.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, I guess we should. And we do that. And now like those are like, or Stratego. We had some guy at this one place who used to play Stratego as a kid. And when he saw that I had it, he played it with his wife, and he like, there's bombs in it, and if you go into the bomb, he like would scream. We'd all split the whole table, like, boom! And we were like, all right, well,
It's got to be fun, kind of watching probably people relive their youth or
Yeah.
like escape in a natural way of like thinking and not just disappearing into a phone.
And
Yeah.
I think that's really nice because, when we were seeing that happen, and this guy, he was like, older gentleman, the dad of the owner, he was like, like he was like living his inner child. And to me, I thought that was like a beautiful thing. And yeah, those games are like not like huge like board games, but they're board games to someone.
they're familiar.
They're familiar to
Yeah.
someone, and I think that's what gets people comfortable, because once they see games that they know that they've played, they can easily pull it, and then maybe once they're done, we can like come up and be like, how'd you like the game? Do
Hey,
you want
if
to
you
try
like that,
something
try
new?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can slowly introduce them to new games aside from just like the regular Clue, or like there's one Clue that's I think the better version called Mysterium. So if you're playing that, try this game out. This one's really fun. It's
I forgot
similar.
about Clue. We used to play it constantly.
I also don't like Clue.
My dad got me a Bob's Burger Clue because I love Bob's
Yeah,
Burger.
yeah.
But what a sweet man. But we're trying out all of these things just for everybody.
I like that you're finding new stuff and then being like, hey, here's an old concept, but a new version of it.
That's sort of what we figured out with doing pop-ups. You
Yeah.
know? That's why I think the idea of doing pop-ups, that the Thirsty Dice owner, I forgot his name, but the guy who told us to do pop-ups, that's what we've done. That's what we've learned. That we know what works and what doesn't work, and we're finding out a lot more about what works.
Yeah.
I think it's important just seeing it through what we did because I don't know how long you guys have been doing the pop-up game, but we did it all last year, and we're doing it for the next couple months, but like there's a lot to learn. And it was like we learned a lot on whether or not we wanted to open a business, brick and mortar. We learned that the idea worked, and then it was like enough feedback, because the other thing too is like sometimes it's hard for me where everyone's like, oh, I really like that food, I really like, and then it's like, oh, okay, but then like when you hear it enough, then you start believing in the concept, because like enough people told you. Because I remember one ride home, Gina was like, it's a good burger. Did enough people? Then I was like, yeah, we're finally at a point where like I've heard it from almost everyone that's had it, like I believe in it now. But it's hard to believe in something because you're kind of like structured not to do your own thing, or you know what I mean? It might be changing now with how people come up, but like, I mean, yesterday we were talking about how like, there's like a formality that people tell you on how to live. You got to go to college, you got to get a job, and like nobody's ever really directed me. My parents never owned their own business, and it might be different for people who are raised from where their parents run a business, but it's like, I never believed that I could run anything on my own. I just always thought I'd work for somebody.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I spent half my life, I went to college, I went to the School of Visual Arts, and immediately as soon as I started, like 2 months into my first semester, I started working for this guy who works for CBS Sports, and spent my years from the age of 18 to now like just working and hustling and like doing things. And there was a point in my life where I never even like got to like hang out with friends, and like just like was commuting to the city, was commuting to Philly, was traveling to Nantucket, to San Francisco, doing all of these gigs that I never felt rewarded. And like, there was a fear in me of not doing it anymore, just because like, we I have so much student debt, and I don't want to like disappoint my parents and stuff. But I had an honest conversation with them a couple months ago, just when we started getting serious with this and being like, I want to leave my job. And my dad was like, oh, thank God.
Oh, that's awesome.
and he was like, I'm going to support you no matter what you do. Like, financially, I will help you as much as I can. Like, you do what you need to do, because that's all I want for you. All I want for you to be is happy. And here I am thinking, like, spending the last couple of years just worrying about, like, do I want this? Do I really want this? And now I feel like I'm forcing myself to like it. Yeah. And I have like a lot of people in the industry that have so much respect for me, but at the same time are seeing that I don't care about this anymore. Yeah. And as much as I love it, and the message that I started this job for no longer relates to me because it's no longer there. And just being able to be around people and teaching them stuff and helping them and being together with the community has been so special for me that now I just like am indebted to Easton. And I started a flea market with my best friend who we're doing it next month. And, I just want to keep doing things. And this is like special to me. So it's that fear that of letting go of a career that I've been working in since I was 18 years old, and like really like flying to places. And it was cool. Trust me, I got to work with celebrities. I got to do things, but I'm done. I'm done. I want to work for me. I want to work for the community. I want to work with this kid. And that's.
I feel like since I've known you, you've always been like a very hard worker, and seeing you be unhappy in your job and more excited about this, and sort of on your way out of your job, you're starting this flea market. You also want to do movies in the graveyard. It's like, how many projects can you handle? Because I'm struggling just with the one, but you've got the drive, and that's what I think is keeping us going. That's what's helping me at least want to work harder and make me proud of what we're doing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think it's awesome that you had that talk with your parents, and I had a bit semi-similar, but when I started my own path, my parents never understood it. Like, I was like, hey, I'm starting an apparel company, and they're like, cool. And then and then it was like, all right, I'm doing this. And my dad would always ask questions and be like, I don't know what you're doing. And they were always just, my mom was a nurse and my dad was he worked in a print press. That's what they did. So they never had, and my brothers went to college and did normal stuff. I was always just out in, like just back and forth. And then, when it became serious, they were like, oh, okay. And I remember a time where they, because there were so many downs where I was like, hey, like, this isn't working out, or like, I didn't make any money here, and it was just stress and stuff. And they would start being like, I don't know if this is like something you should be doing. Yeah. And then I didn't stop. And then I remember, because I would put that out when people would tell me, the amount of people that told me that it wouldn't work what I was doing they're now like just cool. They're like, piled up bodies. Like, I don't pay attention to anything. So at one point you turn that off because you just get mad about people not supporting it, and you just keep narrowing it down. And then, and I remember it's like in stages. And then I remember my mom being like, well, you might as well keep doing it because you're not going to do anything else. And then like they saw that I wasn't giving up on it. And then I got respect from that. Mm-hmm. And then like where I'm at now and like the things that I've accomplished, they look at me in a different light. And I remember I was working at the post office. I burned out on the post office, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and I called my mom to tell them, because it's very difficult that all they wanted for me was to have the same success and the same things that my brothers have, like being married, kids, a real job. So the post office to them was the answer to all of this, but it was not the answer to what I wanted to do. And when I was on the side of the road having a mental breakdown from stress and anxiety and the way people were treating me, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then like when they understood the severity of what was going on, they were like, come home. And I went home, and I'm like, there was a couple days I needed to be by myself, and then I drove over to their house, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. And they were like, you should just do never again. And they were like, they knew that was the hopping point where if it was now or never. Mm-hmm. But it was the support of them being like, you could do this. And like that was kind of like all I needed. And then at that point they were like, financially, you got 2 months. If anything bellies up, we'll help you as much as we can.
Yeah.
And then my goal was to not have to make that call. And I didn't make that call.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, cool. I didn't have to call them. And then they're like, all right, how's it going? And now it's like, of course, the first year I did it, then the pandemic hit, but I got through that, and I look at it, is that nothing's going to get crazy. Well, I shouldn't say that, but if something like that comes up again, you're able to get through it. And like where I am at now with business and like what I'm learning in the time I have that I did it, it's like I feel okay. My depression's gone, my anxiety and all that. It's all based in my life, so it's not over exaggerated to where it's controlling my life. And I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. And when you're in that lane, it's hard sometimes to stay in it because people aren't supporting you, or it's not normal to kind of walk away from it. But I love hearing stuff like that where it's like you had what everyone is telling you should have, and it still wasn't what you wanted.
Yeah, it literally still, like I said, I'm very proud of all the work that I've accomplished. I've got to do so many cool things, but the fact of the matter is I'm not in love with it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't look at it the same way that I used to, where I used to wake up and be like, oh my God, I'm working in the city, and I'm
now
doing
it's
this.
like, oh my God.
And I'm like,
once you hate your driving to work, it's over.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't want to go to the city. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is a waste of my time. Like I had, like now it's just getting to the point. I have so much respect for my boss. I have so much respect for the organization, but I just don't want to give them my disrespect. And I feel like I'm disrespecting them by not loving my job anymore.
Absolutely.
And so, I, have talked with my folks, and even though it was like a scary thing and I've had so much anxiety for the past couple of weeks, I've made that decision of saying, it's time to move on.
It's super scary. It's the hardest. The hardest part is taking the jump. And I didn't know when. I mean, I started Never Again when I was 28. I took the jump at 39 or 40. You know what I mean? Like I'm really only 2 to 3 years in this business, running it the way it is now, where it's like, the sponsors pay for everything. Like it's not. Yeah. That was not easy to get to, and I never understood what I needed to do until I left my full-time job. And when you leave your full-time job, you start realizing that the time that you didn't spend on your business is the time that you need to spend on your business.
I'm in the same boat. I've been working for my family, actually. My dad runs a event decor company, and I've been doing that for 15 years. And I've always wanted to do something else. Like it's sort of just been like, it was like my teenage job, and it just piled up into a career. And I've always come up with ideas. I've tried other businesses. I used to like borrow lights and do like VJ sets for DJs in town.
That's cool.
To make no money, just because I like doing it. And then, that on top of the work from that just sort of stressed me out until I hit a breaking point. And it's similar where I was like, it's not that I don't love this, it's just that if I keep going, I'm gonna hate it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's way more mature to do that than to not say anything and ruin relationships, especially with family.
Yeah, it also like ruins your life. It makes you like unhappy.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a movement now. I saw some Daily Show thing about the Great Resignation and how like millions of people have quit their jobs to do what they love, and I was like, well, if there's a time to do it, now's the time. And so it's a jumping off point. And then I realized I had all this time. And then so the first few months, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just like cleaned my apartment.
Yep, you just did. I used to clean the windows all the time outside.
You did.
Now I don't have time to do
my
it.
Furniture.
You did.
But from doing that, I realized I had my own personal collection of board games. It was like bigger, taller than me, and I was like, whoa, maybe this is a hobby I can get into. And then Barb helped me look for jobs, and I realized I don't want to work for anyone else.
You were not motivated to work for anybody
making
else.
a resume sucks.
It's the worst. I still owe my friend Kelly. I was like, I'll eventually take you out to dinner. Like she tried so many times, and like that's the stuff that like nobody sees. Like I changed so many jobs, and people judged me, especially with leaving the post office. Like, nobody saw me on the phone talking to Kelly for 3 hours, and she's running it like an agency, and she's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't want to do any of this shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, and then I would get into a job, and I would work really hard, and I would want to put creativity and ideas into it, and then like people would think you're like stealing their job, and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm just bored at work, and I do not want to stand here all day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, nobody knows the feeling it is to not get a job you're kind of excited for. And it's like, nobody sees any of that stuff, or the jobs I didn't get, the jobs that, you know, I thought were going to be something and they weren't. The times where like I'm upset on the phone with Kelly being like, am I a loser? I haven't held a real job in so long. And I don't, then all this stuff starts piling up for like teachers told you in high school, if you don't have this degree, you're never going to go anywhere. Then all that stuff starts piling on top too. And it's like, it was just always the fight to like, how do I get this feeling out? And then when I started the apparel company, it was the first time where I was like taking ideas, creative, and then putting them on t-shirts and then selling it. So it's the same thing where you guys have an idea and a concept, and then like there's no, like, you either like doing that and you're addicted to taking that, putting it in real life, and then somebody handing you money for it, or it's just not, it's not for you. And it's like,
if it doesn't feel like work, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because then there's like, so much changed once I went into doing this with like just personal, physical, like now it's like, I would be like, I know that I have to exercise every day to like keep my mental straight. So it's like, I never had time to do that. So it's like, now I hate my job and I can't exercise. Where like, as soon as this is over, it's like, I'm going to go ride my mountain bike, come back here and then work because I can think. And then I was like, oh, this was just the missing piece because you didn't have the time because you were giving it to someone else and then you weren't getting anything out of it. So then you were miserable.
Yeah.
Time is huge. You know, if you're giving it to someone else and just to make money or just to get by, you were talking earlier about how like, your brother wants to be successful, you know, and like make millions and millions of dollars, and that might take so much time to do out of your day.
All of your time.
All of your time.
Day by day, if you're spending your time working and hustling and just trying to make more and more, you're not going to be spending time doing what you need to do for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not going to be spending that time for working on your own mental health.
And
And especially if you need time, to adjust mental health because you've been through some things and you're too busy and you're on somebody else's schedule, and like you can't really dig in and fix stuff, and then like there's just so many different
you're eating into your own time. You know?
Yeah.
Like, because the time you spend working for someone else is not your time, that's their time. And then that cuts down your own personal time in half, which means you got to eat, you got to sleep, you want to socialize, but that is going to take out your mental health, your exercising.
You're tired.
I
was
exhausted.
I moved back home in like 2017 from Brooklyn, and I had that mentality since I was 18 years old. And this is the mentality in film: work, hustle, 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 hustle. And that was my mentality. At one point, I was working 4 jobs. And in between that, I was commuting to those jobs. So I didn't have a car then. So I was using New Jersey Transit. I was using the bus. I was going to the city. I was traveling. I was doing everything. And I never had time to enjoy with my friends. I never had the time to like date or do anything. And sometimes that mentality stays with me. And then I get worried about our business because then I'm like, feel like I have to be like moving all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to be doing this.
I'm 100% the same way.
But then I have a friendly reminder that take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break, because you're not going to do it well if you don't take a break. And it's true. And that's one of the things that I like about working for us, because we're able to create our schedule. We're able to do what we want to do. And yeah, it doesn't feel like work. We pack his car with board games, and then we make it snazzy and fun, and kids come play with us, and adults and everything. And that is so freaking cool. And it does not feel like work. It looks like we're just like hanging out with friends.
And once we have a space, like my dream has always been to be able to like walk downtown, go to my shop, hang out there for the day, and talk to strangers. You come in, want to play a game? Heck yeah, I want to play a game. Can I get you something? Can I get you a beer, a coffee? Sure, let's hang out.
Yeah.
What's the ideal? Because I do want to get into like what like your guys' picture of brick and mortar, because that's where it's going, correct? Mm-hmm. So
that's been the plan since the beginning.
Yeah. So like, what do you picture as your brick and mortar?
So my dream, and Barb mentioned it. I mean, it's always been my dream, but it wasn't until Barb said this that really like locked it in for me. Is Pee-wee's Playhouse for board games.
That's fun.
Because I grew up watching Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Of course.
I think I was born after it aired, but my dad taped every single episode. And I used to watch documentaries about the guy Wayne White. He did all the set dressing, and he's an artist. And
I would love to get into those.
Kooky.
I didn't know they had
kooky.
Documentaries on him.
Yeah, look up Wayne White.
Yeah,
he's really cool. Right now, one of the things he does, he takes like thrift store art and finds and like does big letter text over it in like sort of 3D perspectives, it'll just be like, what the fuck? Or
Yeah.
like, fuck society. But yeah, we want a place to be, because Easton is a foot traffic town.
Yeah.
So we want our place to be interesting. We want people to look in the window, see a cool Pee-wee's Playhouse-esque lounge of people playing board games or just sitting around and walk in. And the spot we're looking at is pretty cool. It's got an outside courtyard. It goes way back to an open kitchen design. That's another thing. We're going to have to make food somehow. If you ever want to celebrate
I've cooked for Mick before.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good cook.
Yeah. But yeah, we want it to be, cool from the outside, cool from the inside. We want to make it a safe space for all ages in Easton because we think it needs it. We think there is an arcade, but it's in the back of a game store, which we want to be a lounge games or like a board game arcade in the front of a game store.
Yeah. What do you guys plan on doing as far as like, is it just going to be a kind of space to do lounge? Do you plan on doing drinks? Do you want to do food? Like, do you want to get a liquor license? Like, how do you see people wanting to hang out long term?
We're gonna be partnering with the wine cellar that we've been doing events at. They're hopefully right next door to them. And they're going to have a little chunk in our location where they'll be selling wine.
That's awesome.
And the way we see it at other board game cafes is that if you're sitting there playing a board game, you're there for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
And if someone's coming up to you asking you if they can get you a coffee or a beer or some snacks or something, you're gonna snacks, beer, and board games
even
all go very well together.
Yeah, like even thinking about playing a board game as a kid, like you played and there was always snacks and it was always something that like, we would always play at my neighbor's and his mom would be like, oh, can we get you something? Or she'd bring us lunch. Like there's definitely like, that is cool because I didn't even think of it is when people are committed to playing, it's kind of like you have them for the amount of time you would want somebody there. You know what I mean? Because like once they start the game, now they're there for how long your customer should be there. Then if they get into another game, now you have the other stuff. But I love the idea. I think that'll fit perfect. I think it's a cool, the Pee-wee's Playhouse vibe and all that. Like that's perfect for what I think Easton's kind of missing is something being a little bit louder for. Because the food is loud, and then there's these cool spots like the sneaker spot, and like you said, the arcade. But there's not like something that's kind of like loud and unique and different. And I think Easton is the best place to yell about it.
We will charge like an admission to play our games. Like to get access to our library, it's like $5 for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But you don't have to play it. You don't have to pay that. You can come in and just hang out. Or if you're a kid and you have $5 and you want to spend 2 hours with your buddies. I used to go to like a pizza shop as a kid, play Magic the Gathering, and we'd be there for hours.
Yeah.
And, like he would have to kick us out when he'd be closing, but we would be buying pizza and soda the whole time.
Yeah, there was a Jay's Steaks and Subs in Nazareth way back in the day, and they had a pinball game and a Neo Geo game in the back, and we would go there, and it was you bought food with a 20, you took the ones, and next thing you know, we're like calling people, our moms, to drop off more money, but we spent money there. You know what I mean? They made money off of us with the pinball and the thing, and we were regulars, and that's what'll be cool too. Is like you'll have regulars like a coffee shop, because that was the other question I was going to have, because you said like sometimes there's more intense games. So there are your people who do Magic the Gathering. Because I know at I'm trying to think of it. We had them on the podcast. The Mead people. They in Allentown. I can't think of the dude's name, but they did like Magic the Gathering stuff there. And I saw, and I was like, oh, there still is that community. That wants to play long term games. And then I know that there's places built out where they do like the tournaments and stuff. So
we're actually hosting a tournament this weekend.
I love that stuff too.
I don't know when this is airing, but this weekend we're doing a Catan tournament. And we actually got sponsored by Catan to make it like a qualifying tournament for their nationals.
Yeah.
See, but that's the stuff too, where it's like you start getting into the business end of it, and now you're working with like sponsors and different people that are like gonna, because even if you do that, now that's promotion for social media, and then it's like you're not just having a place in Easton to do that. Now you're also a place for people who are taking it more seriously, and there's when you say this idea out loud to somebody who doesn't understand it, but then if you dig through it, there's a lot of levels of where this can be very successful to where you can pivot and be like, cool, like this is where we get this is where we get this. We can also run these tournaments, and you guys are going to have your hands full over there. That's fun.
Oh my God. We plan to continue these events at our location, like the tournaments. We'll do like Magic. We'll do everything. We want to keep it. There was even one that we were thinking of, like how to like play a certain game.
We want to do Dungeons and Dragons workshops.
Yeah.
We have a guy that does that, like he DMs on Discord for people professionally.
That's fun. It's fun that you can do that now like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's another one of those things that since the pandemic, a lot of people got into it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons podcasts, you know? So people,
I didn't even think that. That's so much fun.
People who've never played the game listen to people play because it's a great storytelling game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe they want to play themselves. Or people got into board games and want to play themselves but haven't had a group to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're sort of offering. Like you can meet people, learn a game, do what you wanted to do.
Even with these pop-ups, sometimes Mick will start a game and someone will come in and be like, come in by themselves, and Mick be like, do you want to play with us? Do you want to play with us? And then they'll join us. So it's like, this isn't, you know, yes, it's going to be a space to bring your friends and hang out with your family, but it's also like you come alone and we'll set you up with someone and we'll play games together and we'll do it together.
It's a very welcoming community.
Yeah, and that's what's cool too, is because it's a community that there might be kids out there who want to get into it and they enjoy it, but they don't have any friends that want to do it, or they're new to the area even, and it's like, oh, well, I just usually play online. But it's like, you know, it's like very similar to a skate shop where it's like kids can come down to it and then be a part of it. So it's like you guys are going to change so much for younger kids or even just adults that might not have that place to go. And then you kind of start building a community, because it's like I've seen it happen with just different stuff where my buddy runs a ramen shop, and then they started doing an anime night, and then it's like this unique group of kids that like want to express it, because then he started doing like costumes, and then I was like, dude, like this stuff's crazy. But the kids are like taking it so seriously, where like, you know, you get an award for like the best costumes, so now the kids are, because it's like this community that you didn't realize was in Doylestown, and then now is like being showcased through my friend's ramen shop. And then like he's like, dude, he's like, it's the best night we do because all these kids don't have anywhere to be themselves. Yeah. So it's like, it's such a cool way for you guys to be bringing that to Easton, and I think it's the perfect. I don't think it would work doing it anywhere else, because I think Easton is going to be. It's so welcoming there with like just different things.
People have asked us if we would want to set up in Phillipsburg or Bethlehem, and like since the get-go, since the inspiration, we've sort of been like, Easton's where we want to do it, downtown Easton. Because it's growing like crazy. There's apartment complexes and parking lots
nuts
going
what's
up.
going in there.
It's insane.
So
it's
scary.
turning into a whole new town. And in my opinion, like I've been in Easton almost 10 years. If it's gonna turn into something else, I want to make sure it stays a little weird, or at least I have a chunk of what's going to happen.
And like a fun space, we appreciate all the businesses in town, but we just want to stand out. We want to be like not bougie. We want to be like fun and quirky and cute. And we had an event in Allentown this past weekend, and there's this daughter who usually comes with her son, with her mother or father, and she recently told us that she's part of like a teenager. So she's a teenager. They get together at a coffee shop and meet up and play board games. And her mom was telling us that she was just so happy to see like what we're doing and how we can get involved with them. And it's just nice to know that we know we have an audience and that they're there, but they just don't have a space to be there just yet.
And then when you feel that need or that want for, especially in a place that's very community, you can build little different pockets that go everywhere. What do you guys do for atmosphere? What kind of music you playing?
Oh, I'm our resident DJ. I make Spotify playlists all the time. I range from a weird range to like, lately I've been sort of into like some little trip hop vibes, but mostly it's like electronic and 60s sort of French disco kind of stuff.
That's cool. I think music's super important.
We love
I don't stop listening to music.
I loved walking in listening to Kongbin.
Yeah. A buddy of mine turned me on to them, and then he has a studio that he bought the house and it had a professional recording studio in it already, and then when he redid it, and we just started listening to music over there. Like, I've always been obsessed with music, but I've gone down and Spotify, it just throws me so many different genres.
I know Spotify's.
I love it.
I feel bad that some artists aren't making enough money on Spotify, but like I've been using it for 15 years. I've got 15 years of songs saved on there.
Yeah, I think it's the best platform in my opinion that gives you actual things that you will like.
Well, yeah,
as
good
suggestions. It's not
a
like
good
paid
sharing
stuff.
format.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I think our music is similar, but I'm definitely like, I listen to it all. I listen to Spanish music.
Yeah.
I listen to country music. I listen to everything, but the music is important. And when we did the 4th Street Block Party, I called Mick. I was like, you should bring your speaker. And he's like, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I'm like, because they had the School of Rock, but they weren't going to play until like a little bit
I
later.
did 2 pop-ups and then started bringing my own speaker.
Yeah.
But I wanted, like, when we did the pop-ups, I wanted it to be fun. So like, I'm cooking, there's people waiting, and then it's like, then we started with 1 tent, then we got 2 tents, then we got, eventually if we weren't going to go brick and mortar, we were going to get like high tops and stuff. But then I was like, I don't like not cooking. Like, when I cook, I'm paying attention to the music, and then that's like my rhythm and my pattern, and like I can push music out. I don't want to listen to people talking and waiting, and I don't need stress. Yeah. So like when I do that, and then I started doing it, and then I just played music I like because it's my spot. So I'm playing my music, and then people were getting into the music, and then like I brought that palm tree a couple times, and then like would set that vibe up, and then like I just started making it my own. But then that's what you stand out for, and then I'm like, all right, well, why wouldn't I make this me?
Yeah.
I want to sell me, not, hey,
that's what we want to do. We want to make it us.
Yeah.
And we're interesting, fun people. I don't want to assume people will like us, but I have a pretty good idea that people will like what we have and what we offer.
Yeah. I mean, when you did the research. Yeah, but you guys did the research, and you're taking creative perspectives and putting it together because you're building a business, but you're building what you love. But at the same time, you also have to like hit the spots where you think that, all right, this is going to draw people in. But then when you figure out how to do that with the things that you like there are people who like what you like, and you shouldn't be afraid to do that. And I think when people are original and come at it with a sense of like, I want you to like what I like, but it's also inviting, that's what works, not you trying to sell an idea. Like, if you two weren't into this at all, but you were trying to make money doing it, like it wouldn't work. But because you guys love and care about this, and you put genuine pieces of yourself into the project, it's why, like, once I started digging through it and met both of you, I was like, oh, okay, like I get this now. And then after talking to you, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna work, because there's 2 people who are putting what they love into a project, and then you care enough to explain to somebody like there's people who wouldn't do that. Like, you want people to play games because you like games. It's not, hey, I think we can just open up this niche thing, and I see someone else making it, and then we're gonna do it wrong.
I'm big on the law of attraction, the secret. If you believe it, you can put the vibes out there that it'll happen. And that's so much easier to do when you're passionate about your project. Like, the more I think about it, and the more we do it, and the more we talk to people about it, I can't see it not working.
Yeah.
Like,
it's powerful to have that belief.
If we create it the way we've created it, I think we have such a detailed picture of it in our mind. Like, I just cannot see it not working.
Are you guys, because you did say, and I'm a big food guy, but you said there's a kitchen in the back, so you plan on doing food?
Yeah, small stuff.
Yeah.
Neither of us, I mean, we both can cook, and we both cook for each other, but I'm not a chef.
No.
I cook myself a Thanksgiving feast, but I mean, I cook a big Thanksgiving feast every year.
One.
But at the same time, like, I don't want to be spending time in the kitchen cooking when I could be helping people.
You could roll pop-ups through it too.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. Mick talked about Magic Kitchen. What was it that you said?
A pop-up kitchen.
Pop-up kitchen where we would invite chefs to come in and
Ghost
cook.
Kitchen.
Ghost kitchen.
Yeah. Ghost kitchens are huge.
Ghost kitchen. And we want to be able, again, because we don't want this just to be about us. We want it to be about the businesses that we can also help, the people that we can influence. So if we partner up with a chef who just wants to like showcase his food for a week, done.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Because you can do so much fun stuff where you can just have somebody bringing out like appetizers, and then they're paying for the evening of like, cool, like this is an evening, we're gonna get into games. There's appetizers, there's wine here.
Wait, we're not selling it as a restaurant.
No,
we're
not at
selling it
all.
that
I don't think you should.
Yeah, no,
Nah.
we might make like sandwiches, but like snacks.
And that's the kind of stuff that you'll figure out where like there'll be somebody playing long term, and you'll be like, hey, let me get something for you. Then they're like, oh, well, that works. We can offer that,
Yeah.
and then like. Just little things, but no, I don't think you should turn it into a restaurant at all. It's not
Like
Easton
the place,
doesn't need another
The
restaurant.
place we went to in Philly, they had like hummus, and which was honestly, they had fantastic hummus. It was like hummus and like flatbread pizzas.
Yep.
And that was it. And like, but we wanted it because we're playing a board game. We want a snack.
And then we paid like $90 on
Yeah.
that.
The two of us played one game.
It's crazy how much hummus costs.
Wait.
Well, no, it was the beers.
Yeah.
Someone, if I'm playing a
that
board
too.
game, someone comes up and asks if I want a beer. Yes, I do.
Especially
Yeah.
when you start stressing out, you start losing. Come on.
When you started losing.
Cheating.
I want to start wrapping up just to get you guys out of here on time. Where do you guys what's your plan on like, and I know it's stressful to get into it, but like what's your plan on like when you guys would like to see this kind of all start coming together, and kind of go over like what's your pop-up schedule until you guys are open?
So we have, we want to ideally open by the fall.
Yeah.
We want to have ourselves situated by then.
It's a good time too.
It's a good time. The students are back at the Lafayette because that's going to be like our main, like,
Yeah, it's
like
a
I forgot all the
people.
students
Easton-
too.
Easton is a college town.
Yeah.
Because it reminded me of when I went to the Uncommons. It's by NYU. Everyone was a student in there, so we definitely want to be open by fall.
Late summer, early fall.
Yeah.
Late
Hopefully
summer,
like September.
early
September
fall.
1st would be great.
And then pop-ups, which I can pull up right now.
Yeah, we just updated our schedule. We're busy. We used to have like 3 a month, and now we have like 2 a week now.
Yeah, that's fun.
We
It's
have,
fun when you start piling them up.
Yeah.
we have, I mean, obviously you can go onto our Instagram and look, but we have, we have the Catan tournament. We're at Cellar. We're at this new diner place called Big Papa's Restaurant
Yeah.
that's in the West Ward, which I think you would like. Separatists and the Lafayette, and then the West Ward Flea Market, which I ran. So
I want to
we're-
bring you back on and get into flea market stuff.
Oh yeah, and you can meet my other business partner,
course.
Lola Wegman, who is,
When you sent me that, I was like, hell yeah, like, this is so cool.
yeah, but she's such a cutie. We again, the support of the town has been huge for both of my businesses because they just want to see it.
Yeah.
They're constantly retweeting, reposting us, and for both businesses, and I love that. I love that. So we definitely want to be open by the fall. We're at the funding stage of it all right now. And then, just continue to come to our pop-ups. Well, we're not doing any raffles, but we're selling stuff. We should be getting shirts soon.
Actually, we did I think it might be not our last raffle, but over the weekend at that block party, we raffled out Dan Champion, one of the wrestlers from around here. He donated 2 tickets to Real Rumble at the Mahoning,
Oh, that's cool.
which was pretty
hell
cool.
yeah.
That was probably the best raffle prize we've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys done anything with the Mahoning at all?
Other than go as much as possible.
Yeah.
We'll be there for Zombie Fest.
Yeah.
But, maybe we could do something. We've also thought about raffling off Mahoning tickets to or like Mahoning gift card.
Yeah.
Because that place rules.
Yeah.
And that's where we met. And there's
That's
history
fun.
there.
I've
Yeah.
only been up one time. A friend of mine, he's been up there since early days. Like he bought a camper just for
Nice.
going there.
Yeah.
What's
It's
his name?
ridiculous. Beta Addiction on Instagram, Kyle Cummings.
Oh, I know Kyle.
Yeah, so those guys have been up there. So I got introduced through them, and then I've always been a massive Big Trouble in Little China fan. So me and Kyle always
baby.
watch. So
Yeah.
when they had Big Trouble, I went up and like experienced the whole thing. It's super unique. I definitely want to have podcasts with them or
Yeah.
pick through their
Yeah.
brains. Like I love just kind of digging into like, I saw the documentary and
Yeah.
stuff, but I have so many more questions.
They've got a story.
They-
Yeah.
They continue to have stories because I feel like they're constantly asking for our help because something is going on with the city not approving of this and that, and
Yeah.
But the Mahoning has so much history, and we love that place. We love that place, and it's similar to like what we kind of like that environment, that feeling of like, you know, sometimes when the movie starts, people start like cheering on, or something crazy happens in a movie and people just start cheering on. So it's just that feeling is what we want to see at our place. You know, people are excited to be there. They're playing a board game. They're screaming.
No, I mean, I think you guys are going to hit it. Just hit the kind of nail on the head there with like everything you're doing. I like the idea. I mean, I can picture it. The Pee-wee's Playhouse stuff's so rad. And then like,
it's such a good pitch. Like that, just Pee-wee's Playhouse for board games is the pitch.
Yeah, and I like that you're not going heavy into concerns with food and alcohol and all that, because then it starts turning into a bar and a restaurant, and you're going to lose the core value of what you're doing. And if that stuff comes down the road, it can. But in the meantime, why trouble yourself with more stress when you want to focus on the idea?
That's why when we talked to the project manager, property manager, at the location that we're looking at, we were like, you can make the kitchen small. We don't need a big kitchen. We just need a small kitchen. You know, yes, we're going to be serving food, but because ideally when they were building that space, they were like, we're going to have a restaurant here. And I'm like, you don't need another restaurant. No. There's so many restaurants in town.
And they're all good.
They're all delicious.
So really good.
Yeah.
The competition in Easton is tough.
It's nuts.
It's so good. They're all really good, and we don't want to like compete with that. We want to be like the space where, you know, someone reserved, you know,
you show up early for your reservation to kill time at a board game cafe.
Yeah, you know, you're like, you got a reservation at the Bayou, but you thought you could go earlier and they'll take you, but you know, like, just go down a block and you can hang out at the board game cafe.
I love that too.
You know, and then until your table is ready, you know. So we obviously, you know, we want to be able to like, you know, make some revenue and everything, but ultimately we know that this works. We know that people are going to be excited. We already gained interest just from being at the block party and just telling people that this is going to form into something bigger than just a pop-up. So we're excited.
It's cool. I love the story behind it. I love, you know, because I talked to you and I didn't know too much about what was going on, but the fact that both of you kind of met and are like streaming together to go after something you love and leave something that was like kind of just something that you were grown into younger, and that like you're on this journey to find something that you want to love to do, and that the two of you are doing it at the same time is only going to make what you're doing better. And like, I'm really excited to see how it kind of turns out, because I can just feel the passion between the two of you, between taking such a simple as a board game and then turning it into this idea and this unique thing, and the way you're going to design it and music, and like it's really, I feel like it's going to be a special spot, and it should be in Easton. And I just want to thank both of you for coming on.
Thank you.
And if you guys ever need to promote anything, I am going to come out to an event as soon as I have a moment of time.
Yes.
But if you guys ever want to collab, you need to want to come in. You guys are promoting when it gets closer to opening. If you guys are ever doing anything, you go back in the pop-ups, let me know, and I'll help you out the best way I can. I'll give you a moment for both of you to kind of plug your social media, or where anybody can book you guys to do pop-ups until you're open, or where you can follow along to see where the pop-ups are.
Yeah. Well, you can go to our website, punchoutgameseaston.com. There is a form there where you can contact us if you want to hire us for your parties, or you want to hire us for your restaurant. You can also follow us on social media at Punch Out Games on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook. We constantly update it. Our new schedule is up, and that's who we are. And if you come to one of our events, just make sure you use the hashtag #PunchOutGamesEaston and tag us. But yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Where did the name come from?
So I had a whole list of names, that were stupid. But one of the things I love about when you get a new game and you get all like the cardboard pieces, you gotta punch out the pieces.
That's dope.
I didn't want it to be a violent name, because I want to make a safe space, but Punch Out Games just rolls off the tongue.
It's very
nice. It's cool. And then when you explained that, I was like, I knew there was something there.
It's about punching out the pieces.
Yeah. It's funny, but Mick did have one that said B&M Games, and I was like, bowel movement games.
Yeah.
BM Games.
Because we was originally like Babs and Mick, but it didn't work. I was like, no,
it's funny.
I'm gonna keep thinking of like the bathroom.
It's funny when you go through the names, but that was cool. I'm glad I asked that.
Yeah.
First time listener, first time watcher, anything that you want with Never Again, it's neveragainstudio.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're building that up. Once we get into the new space, there's going to be a new network. All of our clothing is going to be linked on there. By the time this airs, our clothing will be back. And neveragainclothing.com, audio, video, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. I think by this point in day and age, people know how to find podcasts. Thank you guys for coming on. I used to actually have to explain what podcasts were to people. Seriously, anytime you guys ever want to do anything, let me know. You guys were really cool.
Thank you.
Ditto.